Hi, it's Andy Wolf here. Hey, I was on the level two course call the other night and I enjoyed it quite a bit. Whole lot of material covered off in there. So I just gonna go over a bit of a recap from my perspective. Having taught this course many times, I teach it a completely different way. I don't even look at the material. I just go through the ICR and tell a lot of stories. But so hey, here are the takeaways. All the stuff to do with the organizations, Alpine Can, all the different things, the different levels. Just ignore that stuff. Go back to that at the end, because by that time you're going to appreciate what it is that you're reading about or hearing about. What's important to me, the takeaway is, hey, I'm a level one. I know how to get around a course. I volunteered at U10 races, maybe Nancy Green, who knows. And now level two, I'm ready to learn more about the sport and how to help out at races, maybe in a chief position. So where I start is, hey, get a copy of the ICR, and hey, just take a look at the index. Oh, that's not the index. That says I handed out the ICRs myself. But if you go to the index, this is pretty straightforward on the different aspects of our sport, and it's broken down into different sections. But just flip through it. Section two, all is rules common to alpine events, and that covers off things like composition of the race organized committee and the roles of the different people that are on the hill in chief positions. It explains who the jury is and what their duties are, explains what a technical delegate does, it explains what a referee does. It covers off rerun. Well, we'll get to all that stuff later on, but it's important just to flip through the book and get an understanding of the topics that you might have interest in learning more about. There's stuff about timing in here. Once you get past the 600, which are the rules parts, then you're going to get into the discipline specific rules, starting with section 700, which so the 700s deal with downhill, 800s with slalom, 900s with GS, and the 1000s was Super G. After that, there's more esoteric events like Alpine Combined and duals and parallel and things that we don't really see around much where we are in the region. But but everything that you might flip through and look at, no matter what page you stop on, you're going to see something interesting. Go, hey, I didn't know that. But now you're going to say that you did know that. So, in preparation for your next session, hey, read through this. It's really tough to flip through a PDF and enjoy reading the file. Now, this is my rule book from last year. It's a 2019. Um, I have a brand new 20 published in July 2020, and you can see it's starting to get some use already. Now, a few years ago, FIS stopped printing up the rule books and went paperless for almost all aspects of ski racing. Even the results, there's no paper results. It's all submitted by electronically to FIS. And but I find it really important to own a rule book because I'm a little odd. I carry this with me 24/7, 365 days a year. And because you never know when someone might call and ask you a question. And honestly, I've been in the parking lot at Walmart on a Sunday afternoon in the middle of the summer, and someone calls up and say, hey, I'm putting in the start posts, and how far apart do they have to be? And people expect me to know the answer, which I generally do know, or I can look it up in a second, but mostly I know the answer or where to point people to it exactly. So, but here's why I think a paper rule book is important. Is one, they call it a rule book, they don't call it a rule PDF. And when you're looking up, there's an index. Well, first of all, there's an index in the front, but in the back there's an index that you can look up any subject matter. Now it's a little bit different than doing a word search in a PDF because you don't know if you're searching for the right word or not because there's interchangeable terms used in ski racing, and you're going to need this to figure your way through it. Plus, if you look at any one section, here's a section just on course setting, and it's got like 5 different references. Well, guess what? When you're trying to figure out which one you're looking for, you're going to have your finger stuck in about 4 different places here to find the sections that you need. And you're going to have to flip back and forth because there's cross reference. That's really tough to do if you're standing on the side of the hill with your phone. Besides, when you're making an argument, here's what my daughter used to do when she was a referee. She would borrow my rule book, and she would, if she was in a, she'd snap open the cover so people could see my name on the front. Then she'd just make stuff up. But and I said, look, you can't do that. You just can't make stuff up. That's my job. But also, when you're discussing it, you can't make emphasis with your finger like this on your phone. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work the same way to point for emphasis. But with a rule book, you can go, hey, take a look right there, and it's a whole lot easier to understand and get your point across. So, hey, I think everybody's getting one that you'll get by the end of the course. Maybe it's, but the really help. But I would flip through this, and I would peruse it. It's not as much fun on your computer, and I do tell you, it's if you're just sitting somewhere reading this, you wouldn't believe who comes over and starts talking to you, because everybody knows what a blue book is in our sport, and we have folks all across the country where this is a common element of their participation in ski racing with their family and their kids. So, you know, Prince Edward Island last year, Alberta, sitting in the airport somewhere. If I have this rule book, people are going to come over and probably ask me about it. Hey, anyway, that's just my recap. There was a whole bunch of stuff covered, but pick on a couple of key elements that you thought were interesting. I would review the composition of the jury and what their responsibilities are, because that's a good place to start. The other thing I do is, of all the different positions that we're talked about, I'd go think about which one that you might really want to do with your new level 2. And let's say you want to be the chief of gates, and that you'd like to try that out. Well, go read about it in here, and read about the gate judges one more time, because you're going to have a little different perspective on it now, being a chief and all. And that's a bit of a recap from last week. Don't feel bad. Don't go away thinking, oh, I just didn't learn anything. Well, you learn an awful lot, but it's all going to come back to you later on when the pieces start to fit. And believe me, it's going to get a lot more interesting, and it's going to be way more interesting if you have a little bit more understanding. Take what you learned the last couple of years, the last year, when you've been around on the race hill, and you've got these questions now. Go look it up, because hey, with level 3 officials, if they come and ask me where should I go find something, I tell them to give me their pin back, because the whole purpose of being an official is that you need to tell other people where to look for things. So you need to know where the rules are before you can start applying them. And it's good, because then you can ask really interesting questions too. So that's my take on, I don't know what the subject matter is this week, but hey, when I do, maybe I'll do a video or two just explaining the material that's going to be covered, and some of the points that I would pay close attention to if I were taking the course for the first time. How's that? It's cold where I am. That's why I'm dressed this way. Still less than a minute to put a pair of pants on. I'm still running around with my shorts on. So look, we'll see you Thursday night. Okay? Hey, if you're really curious during the meeting, and you feel you have a question and you don't want to put it up on the screen, hey, send me a text message. Where did I put my phone? Yeah, send me a text message. I'm Andy Wolf, 613-220-2442. Happy to respond to you in text. I mean, I'm just sitting here doing my crossword puzzle and absorbing everything I can, but I can do 2 or 3 things at once. Maybe not all well, maybe none of them well. Anyway, see you Thursday.